Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1:64 scale Hot Wheels GMC Cyclone. Mine's in all black, which is my favorite car color, and it's what's out in the driveway, but in this case I think the details are lost on it, so we'll come up with something a little bit brighter. This is my entry to the June Four Horsemen invitational, and the theme is Old Man's Car. What? I'm not exactly sure. Well, grab a hot coffee and hang in with me for about 10 minutes while I try to work out what that means. These are the Four Horsemen's YouTube channels, and every month we welcome a guest horseman, and that's Kuda's Die-Cast Customs for June. Looking ahead to July and August, you can see what you need to have on the bench. And we hope you'll join in with us, and when you do, make sure to submit a good high-quality glamour shot to this email address, and we'll include your work in a recap video so it gets out there for lots of new viewers to see. The GMC Cyclone is a high-performance version of the Sonoma pickup truck. Produced in 1991 by GMC, along with Production Automotive Services, which is the same company, credited with building the famed 1989 Pontiac Turbo Trans Am. At the time that it was introduced, the Cyclone was the fastest stock pickup truck being produced anywhere in the world. Auto magazines compared its acceleration favorably to a variety of sports cars, including the Chevy Corvette, and in a memorable comparison test in Car and Driver magazine, a Ferrari 348 TS. The Cyclone featured a 4.3-liter turbocharged six-cylinder engine with an automatic transmission and an all-wheel drive driveline and four-wheel anti-lock brakes. Sounds like an old man's car. There are lots of materials and methods for paint stripping these castings. If you're new to the hobby and a young age, make sure you got adult supervision for this important step. Safety first. It's Canada Day weekend, and the invitational that I've been promoting for some time now is finally here. You should be able to find lots of cars in the Canadian flag colors of red and white. Also, over the next several weeks, I've invited lots of different customizers to join me in my summer road trip series, and here are the thumbnails and the dates for some exciting projects that are coming up, and I hope you'll follow each one of those too. If you enjoy this kind of video, why not give this one a thumbs up and take an extra moment and hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and it sure does help me out a lot. The Cyclone came out of the paint stripper in pretty good nick, and looking at the body, I felt I didn't need to go over it with a wire brush attachment. That's not always necessary. So I'm just using a Scotch-Brite pad on my Dremel tool and buffing it up a little bit and preparing it for the next couple of important stages of degreasing and primer. So far, so good. Remember I told you I thought that the all-black look, which is my favorite, was a little heavy-handed in this case, so I lightened it up with gloss white, and I've added some 3D printed side view mirrors. Today's community shout-out goes to a new online friend of mine, Max, and his YouTube channel is called Maxim Custom Models. He's from Russia, and he's already submitted his Canada Day build to me, so you'll see some of his work close up and personal, along with all the other builders. I decided to go with some red highlights on an all-white body. You know, I started out in the hobby several years ago with Vallejo acrylic paints, and I've been so happy with them. I've added a few different brands for experimentation, but I keep coming back to these because they rarely let me down, and I can recommend them to you. After some careful masking, you can see I did a tonneau cover in Canadian flag red, and I'm touching up the 3D resin-printed side view mirrors with the same highlights. I like this clean and simple look that I'm achieving. Time to decal this one up. I found a couple of images online and I printed the Cyclone logo on the hood, as well as on both doors with these sort of racing stripes that I designed. Some company branding on the tailgate. And I've printed decal headlights in this case. They're a little bit off of the white color, more realistic. And they've got some detail features in them, another GMC badge on the front, and even the indicators on the front grille are laser printed decals. I can never paint such accurate lines. While I was at it, I did the tail lights and the rear blinkers in the same fashion. So, for an experiment, the decal details came out very well. Now for the interior, I cut out that terrible Hot Wheels steering wheel and I put in a 3D printed one. It's an easy upgrade. I flip over the chassis, and this is a paint pen that I'm using by a company called Edding. It's a German company. I can get these easily over here. Hey, red and white. And now for a wheel swap. Although I kind of like those original slashed hub tires that you see in my left hand, I'm going with real rubber Samed wheels in the same size. And they're all black to offset the red and white a little bit. I want to encourage you to visit www.samedwheels.com. When you make your next order, use the promo code MAPLELEAF and they're going to throw in something free for you. Cool. With all the parts laid out, you can see this is going to be a 1, 2, 3 reassembly. No rocket science involved here. They all pop back together in the reverse order they came apart in, when a little click tells me I've got a good fit, but I still put a couple screws in there to lock it all down. The Cyclone gave me no troubles at all, and I can't say that every time I post a video for you, but it's the case today. Good freedom in the wheels. A little suspension. Let's give it a test drive. And a closer look. Yeah, you see what I did on the back? Couldn't resist a couple of maple leafs there for this Canada Day weekend. Although this is not my submission to the invitational. I've got another one coming. Make sure you dial up for that. I really tried to keep it simple and clean today. The decal highlights came out very nicely. Just more straight lines than I could paint by freehand. I think it's an improvement from the all-black version. So what is it, Andrew, that makes this an old man's car? Well, it's all about appreciating the value of a large investment. He maintains his vehicles, does oil changes, keeps it parked in a covered area. He didn't jack it up, and he's never slammed it down to the ground either. He doesn't drive it gingerly, but respectfully. These are all the characteristics of the generation that he comes from. But most of all, I'm an old man, and I would love to have this truck. That's my justification for the way I did up the Cyclone today. All of my 4 Horsemen builds in 2023 are going to be for sale, so this one goes into a custom cart with a blister pack and some 4 Horsemen details on the back. You can find this on my YouTube community tab where you can place a competitive bid. I'll leave it open for 1 week. There'll be a $10 international shipping charge on top of that, because I'm in Switzerland. Thanks for visiting my channel today. Thanks Kuda Cole for being our guest. Be sure to check out all the other great 4 Horsemen builds I invite you to come back here soon and often. It's coffee time.